Hi folks, welcome back to Racin-n-Braisin. I am CJ coming at you on a special Friday edition. I've got a couple of days off here for my birthday and wanted to show you guys how I make buffalo wings. I was really in the mood for some wings after watching that Dale Jr. interview the other day. Jr. was talking about wings and I had them on the mind, and I figured, you know what, I might as well share with you guys how I do wings. This is something that I spent many years doing, working within bars. Big popular item, of course, to go along with beer. What we did in those kitchens is we would bake off all of our wings. In later years, I also developed a technique of brining the wings first and have never turned back from that. With any poultry item, I 100% brine it every time. So I'm going to take you through the steps here today of how I do my wings. We're going to start off with the brine. I'll tell you about that. Then we'll talk about how I season them, get them ready to cook. And pretty simple process. It just takes some time. And you know what? I've got the time to give you here today. So let's talk about it real quick. We're going to do the brine. I'll show you what that is and all the ingredients for that. There's really no ratios, I'll be honest with you guys, or measurements. I just eyeball everything because that's just kind of the way it's worked for me throughout the years. I learned my ratios early on in my career, and they've just kind of all been ingrained with me. From there, we are going to drain the brined wings and season them up. Then we're going to add them to our sheet pan. We're going to cook them in a 425 degree oven for about 20 to 25 minutes. We're looking to cook them to an internal temperature of 165. No higher than that. We want to stop it right there. From there, we're going to pull the wings out. Let them rest for at least 10 minutes. And I'm going to take the entire sheet pan and put that into the refrigerator for about an hour or so I can really let those wings cool down completely. Our final step, in the restaurant, we would take the order of wings that we've portioned out, usually 10 or 12, and we would drop them in the deep fryer, let them fry for about 3 to 4 minutes, and then pull them up. That develops a nice crispy skin on the outside, reheats them fully from the inside as well, and then from there, we would toss them in the sauce. Now, since I'm at home and I don't really feel like using all of that oil in my deep fryer that I do have, I'm going to pan fry them tonight. And I'll show you how we do that here at the end. And then I'm also going to talk with you guys about easy way to make homemade buffalo sauce. I am also going to talk with you about an easy homemade blue cheese dressing to go along with this. That's my personal favorite, and a little secret that I've got for that blue cheese. So stick with me here today, guys. I'm going to cut this up into a bunch of videos, and then we'll round it off at the end with a short outro. First thing that I do with any poultry, and wings in particular, is I brine it. These guys I pulled out this morning, let them thaw, and I put them in a brine. My brine is pretty simple. Start with some salt, a couple drops of liquid smoke, a little bit of Worcestershire, a couple tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, a couple shakes of red pepper flake, then a generous pour of garlic powder, and then top it off with water. That's my brine. So these guys have been in for about 3 hours now, and I just pulled them out. I'm going to drain these next. All right, guys, so I've gone ahead and drained my wings, and I haven't rinsed them off, so there's still some of that garlic powder on there and the red pepper flakes, but I'm going to add a little bit more seasoning to it before I get them in the oven. A little pour of olive oil on them. I've got my salt and pepper here in my handy little guy. Awesome little find on Amazon. And, just a good sprinkle of salt, not a ton. A good sprinkle of black pepper is where I always start. And then I love garlic, so garlic's going to be a big addition there. Just, a pass or two over top of it. You notice I'm not really measuring, but these are kind of the same motions that I do every single time I do a seasoning like this, and it generally works out pretty good for me. So if you kind of find your sweet spot in your seasoning, you don't really need to measure anything. You just kind of know what is going to have different ratios. Like my paprika is going to have a higher ratio than, say, my chili powder is going to have, as I've got here. So just a quick shake of that. And then, like, I like the little bit of spice, but I don't want it certainly overpowering. So the red pepper flake, I'm going to add just a little bit extra to that. And just, every now and then gives you that little burst of heat into it without overpowering the entire wing. Next, let's mix this up and get it ready to transfer onto our sheet pan, which we have with parchment as a liner. So just get your hands in there. Just quickly with your hands, I'm going to use my hands to transfer anyways, and then I'm just going to line these guys up close, not tight on top of each other, but just close enough. I am going to agitate these guys, probably turn them over halfway through the cooking process. These are going to be in the oven, 425 degrees, for about 20 to 25 minutes. We'll definitely get a temperature probe in there and keep an eye on the temperature. The wings are ready to go in the oven. We've got them seasoned up and on our sheet pan with parchment paper. I've gone ahead and set up my thermometer with the probe. If you don't have one of these, I highly recommend. Only costs about 10 bucks, but we're ready to go in the oven. I've set my thermometer for 165. That way I know exactly what my temperature is going to be when I pull these out. In the restaurant, I wouldn't typically have a probe in this. I would just have a sheet pan full of wings, throw them in the oven, set a timer on my phone, and go back to the next prep item, check them at 20 minutes with a portable probe thermometer and see where I'm at temperature-wise and adjust from there. So let's get these guys in the oven. Alright guys, let's talk about our blue cheese dressing while we have our wings in the oven. This is a perfect time for us to make this because it's going to give us that hour and a half to 2 hours to let this dressing marinate together and get happy. The basics of blue cheese dressing is going to be mayo, sour cream, and buttermilk. And then to give it kind of that earthy umami flavor, a couple dashes of Worcestershire, a little bit of garlic powder, onion powder, and then of course our crumbled blue cheese. That's the basics. Mayo and sour cream are going to be at a 50-50 ratio. The buttermilk is going to thin these two out as we mix them. I'm just looking for that nice little balance. So let's go ahead and dive into this. I've got my 2 spoons to scoop out with, and I'm doing just a generous portion of the sour cream like that. Roughly about a half a cup there, and like I said, a 50-50 portion here, so about a half a cup on our mayo. So there we go, we've got our mayo in, and now we are ready to, I'm going to grab a whisk here, and then I'm going to open up my buttermilk. Let me go ahead and get these two started. So a little bit of buttermilk at a time. I'm just really trying to look for my consistency. You know, like it's kind of running pretty good. That's all right. You notice I really haven't added much buttermilk at all. I think at this point I would judge it to be about 2 tablespoons worth at the most. And that's it, but that's got a nice consistency to now. Now, here we go. Just a couple dashes of Worcestershire, a good shake of garlic across the top, a good shake of onion powder. Now, the little trick that we used to do in the restaurants that I worked at before, ranch seasoning. This just kind of gives it a pop. Not a ton of ranch seasoning because we're not making a ranch dip. But this gives it that brightness to it. The dill that's in the ranch there, that hint of lemoniness to it. So That's our mixture there. Looking good. We're ready to just kind of mix it up a little bit more, get everything in there. All right, that's our basic seasonings. Now, of course, a good pinch of salt, a good pinch of black pepper. There's our base for the blue cheese dressing. Now we do the blue cheese. I'm just going to dump that whole package in there. Now, no more whisk. I want to fold the blue cheese in. I don't want to break the blue cheese crumbles down any further because I like chunky blue cheese. So I'm being very gentle with this as I fold it around. And that's it. There we go. We have a nice chunky blue cheese dressing to go along with our wings tonight. Now I'm going to take this, I'm going to put this in the fridge. You see, in that time of making that quick dressing for ourselves, we've already knocked off 50 degrees in our temperature. Got another 50 degrees to go before these wings are ready to come out of the oven, and then we'll move on to the next step. All right, guys, timer has gone off for us here. We can go ahead and get that guy turned off and pull these wings out. All right, there we go. Nice and beautiful. There we are. Now, like I said, we're going to let these guys rest. I'm done with the oven. I don't need that on anymore. I can turn that off. And we're going to let them rest for 10 minutes, so I'm going to set myself a timer. Once this guy goes off, like I said, then I'm going to put them into the refrigerator and let them cool completely. So it'll take about an hour or so. All right, guys, here we go. It's been about 2 hours now. The wings have been in the fridge and cooled off completely for us. So we're ready to go on our hot sauce. Buffalo wing sauce is very simple. Typically just 2 ingredients. You can add more to add more flavor. Butter. Butter is the key here for wing sauce. That's what makes it really delicious in that bright orange color of wing sauce. And then, of course, your favorite vinegar-based hot sauce. Typically, I would use Frank's Red Hot, but I didn't have any on hand. I do have some Louisiana-style hot sauce. I've got a 1/4 cup here and 2 tablespoons of butter. We're going to go ahead and get our heat turned on because I want to melt this butter and get everything mixed together. The other thing that I'm going to do here is I am going to add one other ingredient to this, and that's going to be about 2 cloves worth of chopped garlic. If you were paying attention earlier, you know that I love garlic. So let's get this butter melted. All right, guys, our butter is melted and ready to go. So I'm just going to add those 2 cloves of garlic to it and just give it a little bit of a stir, let everything kind of steep together. The garlic really only needs about 30 seconds in the heat here for it to open up. I'm not trying to burn the garlic at all. I'm really just trying to get it to sweat out a little bit into the butter here so it incorporates that flavor into it. Now, in the restaurants that I've worked in, when making our own buffalo wing sauce, of course, about a 2-to-1 ratio on butter to the hot sauce that we would use. And then we would also throw in extra things like a little bit of extra cayenne in there to kick up the heat just a little bit, and some paprika to help with kind of that smoky, sweet flavor to help balance things out. But the basic wing sauce was always just very simple, 2-to-1 butter to hot sauce. So, all right, we got about 30 seconds there. The garlic has opened up nicely. We're just adding our hot sauce to it, and hold your nose because this is going to definitely sting it a little bit. And just quickly adding it, and you see how the color on the hot sauce just became that very bright color. And I just want to make sure it's well incorporated. I'm going to take this and move it into my mixing bowl here, and then set this aside, and we'll go ahead, get a new pan, get some oil hot, and let's start cooking our wings. All right, guys, we're ready to cook off our wings. Ordinarily in the restaurants, we'd have a deep fryer, usually set at 330 degrees and fried in what's called a fryer shortening, which is typically a blended oil, usually a canola oil, a sunflower oil, or something like that. That's typically what's on the more economical side as far as fryer oil goes. Now, I have worked in other restaurants where we've gone higher end and we've paid for peanut oil. That creates an entirely different texture, best suited for French fries, but also works well with wings. But I'm not going to use the seed oil today. I'm going to use some olive oil to pan fry. So I already have the flame going here. As you can see, I've got it up pretty high because I'm not really looking to regulate temperature here. So it's warming up, and if you give it a little bit of a shake, you'll notice the oil becomes looser as it warms up. That's because it's becoming more viscous, of course, but also the reflection on it changes, and that's kind of a good way to tell you that it's warming up the way that you want it to. Then our final side of the oil being warm enough for us is that it's going to smoke a little bit, and then that's when we know it's ready for us to fry. Another thing that is good to have on hand is a splatter screen. These wings are definitely going to splatter. They still have a little bit of the chicken fat on them. I didn't drain them or wipe them off or anything. That's all going to go in here in the pan and just add to the flavor. So I'm starting to see small little whiffs of smoke coming out of the oil here. We're ready to start frying. So let's go ahead and grab ourselves some wings. And look, I'm just going to protect myself. There we go. 6 wings in the oil and going. Now these are really only going to take a couple minutes aside. What we're trying to do is just obviously reheat them, warm them up, but get a nice crispy outside to them. This takes about 2 to 3 minutes aside when you're doing a pan fry like this. When we're in a restaurant and doing this in a deep fryer, it really only takes about 3 to 4 minutes total for you to completely reheat through the wings and get a nice crispy skin on it. Give them a shake so they're not sticking to the bottom, but I'm not ready to flip them over. One of the biggest things to learn in the restaurant industry, in cooking in general, even just cooking at home, is patience. It's really, really tempting to just sit and play with stuff all the time. But the key to actually getting a good hard sear, good color on your proteins, good color on your vegetables, is to actually just leave it alone. When I am teaching in a restaurant, newer people that always want to go and grab and move things around, I immediately get on them and just say, hey, leave it alone. Let it cook, and your results will turn out a whole lot better. Couple of things while we're standing here waiting for it to cook. I'm keeping an eye on it, of course, but the big thing that I'm doing is opening all of my senses. I'm listening to it and I'm smelling for it. If I start to really smell like any sort of burning smell, I know I need to make an adjustment. If I'm hearing a weird popping or something that's just not normal, I know I need to make an adjustment. So I'm using all of my senses while I'm cooking. And I've definitely gone on enough here, so I think we're at about 2 minutes. Aha, it's telling me we're ready. So I'm going to go ahead and get this turned over, and boy, look at that. We're already starting to get some color. Yeah, there we go. Ooh. Okay, guys, it's been about a minute now of the chicken cooking on the other side, and what we've noticed now is the sound has changed. It was, a very fast gurgle at first when we first flipped it over. All of that extra fat and grease getting in with the rest of the oil. Now it's slowed down after about a minute. So we're going to just give it a little bit of a jostle. There we go. We'll give that about one more minute and then we're ready to go. Okay, so it's been about another minute here. We're going to give these guys a little jostle. Look at how beautifully brown that skin is right there. Now you notice I've got a screen and some paper towels set up so that I can transfer this and let the excess oil drain just a little bit before we go ahead and toss this into our wing sauce. All right, I'm feeling good about it. And I'm taking a look, and yes, I am liking the color on my skin here. And these guys are ready to transfer over. So I've turned my oil off, I've turned my pan off. I will probably use that again later on this evening when I'm ready for round 2 on the wings. But we're going to give these wings about 30 seconds to just rest for a second. Let that oil drain off, and I'm going to get this pan out of the way, and we're going to show you how we dress the wings and get them ready to serve. Okay, it's been about 30 seconds and we're ready to dress our wings. I have got my wing sauce ready to go, and while I was waiting that 30 seconds for those to rest, I went ahead and got our blue cheese together and a plate. Let's go ahead and get these guys dressed. I don't know if you can hear the wings dropping into the bowl, but they've got that crispy sound. And we're just going to give them a quick toss just like that. And there, look at those beautiful wings. There we go. Garlic all over them. And then we'll stack those wings right there. And then there we go. Good enough to serve at a restaurant. Looks good. I hope you guys are hungry. I am too. All right, there we go, guys. So what do you think? We've got some wings ready to go. I'm about to dive into these and watch the Xfinity Series qualifying. That is how we make wings in the restaurant industry. When you go to a bar or a restaurant that serves wings, most likely they're being done that way. So, comment, like, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think. Do you like these cooking videos? I would like to do more of them for you guys and would like for y'all to engage with me. Feel free to ask questions. I'd be happy to answer them on a future video. Until Sunday morning, guys, I hope you all have a great weekend. Enjoy the racing tomorrow. Maybe I do something else. I've got a long weekend, so there's plenty of time to hang out here with all of y'all. Until Sunday, guys. Thanks a lot for joining me here on Racin-n-Braisin, and I'll talk to you later.